How many of you want to be a better leader? How many of you want to attract more amazing leaders?
Today we're going to talk about the 3 keys to doing just that. And they are to be, attract, and multiply. So, the first step in being is always believing. We talk a lot about belief, don't we? We want to, since we're here in Nashville, we want to have a little fun. So how many of you have seen Wonka, the new Wonka?
Any Wonka fans?
All right, I see you. Let's watch this little clip from Wonka and notice how no matter what happens to him, he keeps his hat full of dreams.
After 7 years of life upon the ocean, it is time to bid the 7 seas farewell. And the city I've pinned 7 years of hopes on lies just over the horizon. I can hear the harbor bell. Land ahoy! Got a tattered overcoat and battered suitcase. Got a pair of leaky boots upon my feet.
Sorry, Cook.
Gotta drug myself up by my one good bootlace. Gotta work my rotten socks off if I want to make ends meet. I've poured everything I've gotten to my chocolate. Now it's time to show the world my recipes. I've got 12 silver sovereigns in my pocket and a hat full of dreams. There's a famous restaurant on every street here. There's Brandino's and the Bar Parisien. Restaurant maps up, thank you. Got a little map to tell me where to eat here. Had a dozen silver sovereigns, now I'm somehow down to 10. Want the finest produce, this is where they stand.
That's 3 sovereigns, mate.
So the prices are suspiciously extreme.
Wait, how come can you pay for it?
I've got 5, 6, 7. 6 silver sovereigns in my pocket and a hat full of dreams.
Brush your coat, sir.
No, thank you.
Cologne?
No, leave me alone. At last, the gallery gourmet. I knew that we'd see it one day. It's everything you said, Mama, and oh, so much more. Each way that you turn, another famous chocolate store. Here's my destiny, I just need to unlock it. Will I crash and burn or go up like a rocket? I got nothing to offer but my chocolate and a hat full of dreams.
No daydreaming.
In this city, anyone can be successful if they've talent and work hard, or so they say. But they didn't mention it would be so stressful just to make a dozen silver sovereigns last more than a day.
Could you spare a sovereign for a place to sleep, love?
Of course. Here, take all you need.
Thank you.
I've got 1, silver sovereign in my pocket. And a hat full of dreams.
Whatever the state of your pockets, make sure you keep the hat full of dreams. Did you notice that even though his pockets were empty, he goes on to create so much freedom for himself and others? So whatever the economy's effect on you and your life, whatever your doTERRA journey has been up until now, could it be that it's all just been exactly as it should be, and that you're perfectly supported right in this moment? I want to start off by just taking a deep breath. Can you just take a deep breath and let go of any of those coins that left in a way that you thought maybe they shouldn't, or the journey that might have been different than you thought? Take a deep breath and let it go. And start again with a renewed, fresh view of you and your business and the possibilities.
I also want you to trust that you have everything you need right now, in this moment, to deal with whatever the world can throw at you. Slide. Brian Tracy, thank you. So true. Now, I want you to imagine that you go out today and you buy your dream car. All right? You're driving it off the lot. It's got that new car smell. And then you pull up to the house, open the garage door to this. No space, right? And it doesn't matter whether this is your own baggage or other people's baggage, it's holding you back. It's taking up space. So how many of you want to find a new builder? I should see every room in here. It starts by creating space. We have to clean up our energetic space, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual. Creating space is the first step. And how do we do that? By releasing. We've learned from our own hoarding, whether it's emotional or mostly emotional.
Or picking up other people's baggage along our doTERRA journey.
Release is critical in all the ways, right? So that you can be the vibration that you want to attract.
We are meant to be free, each of us.
And Natalie and I have been blessed with incredible mentors. In fact, 16 years ago, we were introduced to a life coach, and we have had a weekly release session with her ever since. It's been critical for us.
One time we tried to do it every 2 weeks, and Andy looked at me and said, hey, this isn't going to work. You got to go back to the weekly release.
It's just a beautiful space where we get to process anywhere that we feel stuck. The only way to experience freedom is through release. And then I started thinking about it, and it struck me that we have some heroes who have a similar tradition. Did you know that each of these 7 brilliant souls has a weekly ritual of bringing all of their hard feelings, their hurts, their grievances, and surrendering them to a higher power? It's true. This is part of the reason they're so successful.
So in the spirit of affirmation that you were just taught, I want you to turn to your neighbor and say, I am an excellent receiver.
Releaser.
Releaser. And give him a high five.
I love it.
Okay, so if you don't have a coach yet, you don't have to have a coach to be an excellent releaser. There are amazing tools, right? We have the best oils on the planet. This is a free tool. How many of you use the breakthrough worksheet to release? Yeah. Free tool for you to turn up that releasing in your world. Let the oils work for you and let go of that emotional baggage.
It's funny that you slipped and said receiver because releasing and receiving have a symbiotic relationship, right? So we create space in order to receive, but it all starts with releasing.
Release is the beginning, and then we can receive. We all love the receiving part, right? I'm into it. But we start with releasing to make space for receiving.
Who wants some practical tips on how to release? Okay, here are just a short list of some of our favorites. And all of these, the key is to make it a habit, right? We all know the power of habits. But if we create space to release on the regular, then things start to fall away. All that negative energy, the negative habits, negative beliefs.
Think about your strategy. How will I release? Ask yourself. And jot down a few of these that could be part of that strategy. Think of when you're going to make space and create the time to make this a habit.
So the first step was be. The second step is attract. Once we create the vibration, then we're ready to bring in the thing that we want. So we all want to be excellent receivers. And I want to talk to you about some of the things we've learned on our doTERRA journey, attracting these incredible leaders. And I've put them in the order that we enrolled them. And I started going through and doing a few stats. And I'm not a Drew Wolfert, but I do like numbers. So can I tell you a little bit about what we've learned attracting these leaders? And just to be clear, this is a conversation about recruiting our front line, our qualifying legs. This is not about the 200 or so customers that we've enrolled, right? That conversation is all about the product. So how did we find these amazing partners? The first 4 were contacts of ours. The rest were found through networking.
Outside of our son.
That's right.
Those personal contacts are what got us to Diamond. And then networking was really everything else. And we just hadn't realized how much networking was critical to our network marketing business.
So, want some practical tips to how to be a better networker? Here's a short list. It really doesn't matter how you network. It just matters that you do it. That you go to the places where you find passion, where you feel alive.
That could be joining a pickleball club or a meetup group or a Facebook group with your target market. Whatever you do, take care of people and give big first. Create massive value, and that networking will just flow.
The next question we asked was, what was it that we talked to our partners about? So there were 3 main approaches that we used: business, product, and impact. And they're coded by color. So as you can see, the vast majority of our partners, we led with business. This has really been our secret sauce, is we focus so much, we treat this as a business, and so that's the main conversation we have with potential partners.
We know that doTERRA has a powerful business because of the product. And some of our leaders, we did lead with the product. That's what brought Roxanne and James in and brought our son in. But now we're seeing more impact and that interest coming up. So we're opening up our approach to make space for that impact.
And what we mean by impact is, social impact. People who want to change the world.
Make a difference, right? Are you hearing more of those? Are you seeing more of those? Absolutely. So let's talk about what a few of these case scenarios look like, right? So you can think about these different approaches. Matt and Shantae Hall, we found them through our network.
Yeah, so we went through a coaching program with her dad. So he referred her to us when she showed interest in doTERRA. And we invited them to go over the build guide with us over lunch. And we shared stories with them of people like them, people in their demographic, different success stories.
And voila.
That's right.
They're amazing, right? They've led so many people. But this helped us, like this business approach that looks a little bit different every time was perfect for Matt and Shantae. So here's just a few ideas for that business approach. We found that most often we were inviting people over for a barbecue or to have dinner with their kids. And we would say, hey, we want to share with you what a business opportunity that we have, right? And we often invited them out to dinner if it needed to be more formal. All these things, and doTERRA's created so many tools that strengthen your business approach. Don't overthink it, just be natural, share what you desire, and invite people in.
Now, when we approached Laura and Jerry Jacobs, I have to say we were a little intimidated, a lot intimidated. And she really wanted a product to help her clients. She had a thriving health coaching business. She had massive influence, but she had no time freedom. So we brought lunch with us to save her time.
We didn't know very much about the oils, so we brought our upline, and they started telling her some success stories, and she started paying attention, right? And then we connected her to Dr. Hill and connected her to the owners, and she came in first because of the product, but then because of the business that was connected to that product, and that's why she gave more energy. I taught classes for a little while until she could see, oh, this business can really work.
So, a few practical tips for the product approach. Giving a product experience is key. Natalie is the Jedi master. Like, she will get into people's spaces and swipe oils under their nose and give them a back massage. Be bold. People have no idea what they're missing out on until you reach out and give them a product experience.
Tell those stories, right? Those testimonials, the ones that you should tell one-on-one, tell those stories.
So let's talk about Heidi. When we met Heidi, she already loved the product, and she really didn't need any more income. She was retired and happy, but she did want to make a difference in the world. She had a huge heart and wanted to have impact in the world. So, practical tips for talking about the impact. How many of you love the new co-impact video we saw yesterday? So great, right? Love that doTERRA is so committed to helping us tell this story.
So powerful, this new area that's coming in. And as we tailor our approach to people and their need and their desire and their interest, you're going to experience success.
So I want you to just get still for a moment, drop into your hearts, and ask yourself a few questions. How can I attract amazing new leaders? How can I lead out with my vision and my why? What can I offer them? What are my strengths and my superpowers? Believe that everything you have is everything you need. Breathe in possibility. It all starts with you and your belief. And it's time to multiply. To multiply you, your efforts, and the efforts of your team.
Can you feel the power of what you have to offer? Who you are, what doTERRA is, and what it can be for them. Remember that. And as you move forward to attract those people, I want you to think about being this solo conductor. You can just focus on you, but when you make it all about you, it doesn't go as far. You have limitation. What makes a great conductor is they set the vision.
How great is a conductor without their orchestra? I don't know of any shows running here in Nashville where you can go watch a conductor swing a baton. But with the orchestra, with that team, they can create magic. So the first step was be, second step was attract, the third is multiply. After you attract, it's time to multiply efforts. So I want you to think about this quote by Ronald Reagan. The greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He is the one that gets the people to do the greatest things.
Can you see yourself as that conductor of your team, of your leaders, getting them to do the greatest things? Think about your favorite teacher.
Close your eyes for a minute and reflect on all the teachers that you've had. Who has risen to the top and had the most positive impact on you? What was it that they inspired you to become and do? How did they show up for you? Now think about your least favorite teacher. How did they show up? How were these two different from each other? When we think about our favorite teachers, we have a nickname for them. We call them multipliers. These are people who amplify and elevate the intelligence and capabilities of their whole team.
They help us become our best selves, just like that teacher did for you.
And a lot of what we'd like to share comes from a book by this title. It's called Multipliers, and it's by Liz Wiseman and Greg McEwen. We highly recommend it. Successful leaders invest their growth of their team and elevate them to reach their full potential. And this is how everybody wins.
That's the magic of doTERRA, right? As we grow, as we help others grow, we all win. And that's true in life. It's our call, our stewardship to help those around us that we have stewardship with to unleash their potential and become their highest selves.
The opposite of multipliers is what we call diminishers. These are leaders who are too into themselves to realize the capabilities and potential of their team. They tend to put others down, put people in limited roles. They believe that capabilities are static, that if you stink now, you'll always stink. They believe that intelligence is rare, that only a select few are on their level. And they think that projects are going to fail unless they're involved.
Andy, I would like to say that I've never been a diminisher, but it's just not true, right? Maybe as we read these things, we think, oh, yeah, I remember that one time, and that other time, and that other time, right? It's natural to show up in these ways.
There are at least 4 distinct ways of showing up as a diminisher. We call them the empire builder, the tyrant, the decision maker, and the micromanager. And we all ebb and flow through these phases. So give yourself grace. If you've ever wanted to build an empire, be a tyrant, micromanage others, it's part of the journey.
Yeah, the beautiful thing is we are in choice. And these diminishing ways, once we recognize them, we can choose. Hey, am I going to show up as a diminisher, or am I ready to be a multiplier? Where are you at? You want to be a multiplier?
So multipliers focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. They help people fly. This is what's great about multipliers. They trust that failure is part of the learning process. And so they give plenty of space for people to fail, then succeed.
And they want people to succeed. It doesn't need to be with them. They don't have to be the first to reach the rank. They want others to go even more and further than they have gone. Isn't that amazing, just to feel that whole multiplier feel and the possibility? Can you start to see that? Can you start to feel it and what you could do as a multiplier? It's powerful.
I love this thought by Lao Tzu. A leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they say, we did it ourselves. Super inspiring, right?
Imagine if that's how your team felt. Can you shoot for that? Empowering in such a way that, and showing up in such a way that they feel like they did it themselves.
So let's take a deeper dive into the 4 different types of multipliers, right? This is where we want to put our focus and our energy. So first, the challenger. How many of you know the story of Ernest Shackleton, who made an attempt at getting to the South Pole? Now, to get to the South Pole, you can't really do that as a solo, so he posted an ad in the paper. And this is what the ad said. Men wanted for hazardous journey. Small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful, honor and recognition in case of success.
Now ask yourself, is that what your latest leader ad looks like? I don't think so, right? Typically we're saying, oh, it's peaches and panda bears and $1 million, right? But Ernest knew better.
And guess what kind of response he got from this ad? He had hundreds of men show up, more than happy to take on the challenge. Ernest Shackleton was a challenger.
He raised the bar, and people came there and met him at that raised bar. He presented opportunities rather than just telling people the tasks. He challenged assumptions, and he found a path for everyone to win.
How many of you have seen the movie Forever Strong? So this tells the story of the incredible rugby coach Larry Gelwicks, who led the Highland rugby team to 418 wins and just 10 losses, which included 20 national championships. The reason? He is an investor. That's the type of multiplier he is. He focuses on teaching, not just giving the answer. In fact, when he would coach his players which is a lot of time one-on-one, he would ask one question: did you give your best? Was today's effort the very, very best you've got? And he didn't attach any judgment. There was no coming down on them if it wasn't. But when you create a space for people to self-evaluate, they tend to rise up. They tend to find the ways that they can shine even brighter. Anybody recognize this handsome guy? Magic Johnson. So in high school, he was the star of his basketball team. If his team scored 48 points, 45 were scored by Magic. Well, after one game, he was walking to his car, and he overheard some of the parents of the other players, and they were really disappointed. They didn't come to watch Magic play. They came to watch their child play. And Magic made a decision in that moment that he would not make the game about himself. And from that moment forward, every team that he played on, he made that team great. He created space for others to rise up and to shine. Magic was a talent magnet. He appreciated all different types of skills. He recognized what people were naturally good at. And he didn't care about positional boundaries. He gave opportunities to develop natural skills.
Then there's another type of multiplier, and this I saw really clearly the other day. We were on a quick Zoom call with two top leaders from another country that were having big challenges. And Emily showed up on that call and listened. And in the process, she trusted them and listened to their problems. And she didn't solve everything right there, but she listened. And she took their input, and then she said, "I'm sorry." And she took accountability for even things that she had no control over. She was a liberator.
The liberator listens more than they talk. They put trust in those who are closest to the issue, and they publicly admit theirs and even others' mistakes. Let's give it up for Emily Wright. Anybody read The Little Prince? Its author, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, gave this great quote: "If you want to build a ship, don't drum up the men to gather wood, divide the work, and give orders. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea." In doTERRA, we have the opportunity to give people a pile of how-tos, right? We can give them all the guides and all of the nuts and bolts of the business, and we can teach them to long for the sea. We can teach them to dream again. We can create and hold space for them to rise and become more than they are.
This quote to me is the epitome of focusing on the destination, right? Where are we going? What are we helping people to achieve? Most people want freedom, and that's why they're here at doTERRA. Physical freedom, emotional freedom, mental freedom, spiritual freedom, and financial freedom. All of those things you have to offer.
So what does it take to become a multiplier? It's all about identifying natural talents, not putting people in boxes, listening, challenging them to find the right solution, figure things out for themselves, talking up their successes, and connecting failure to growth in a path of empowerment.
We like to say, fail faster, right? That means we're growing, we're becoming. So you can be a multiplier. These are some of the pieces that I like to come back to over and over again to remember, okay, this is what I'm going for, right? And part of being a multiplier is also collaborating. We have the most incredible environment to collaborate in. This doTERRA community, I talk to people all the time that say, I've never been a part of a community that was so loving, giving, empowering, right? we have all these opportunities to collaborate and see that 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, it equals infinity when we come together. This afternoon, some of those masterminds are going to be great opportunities for you to collaborate and come together. And you've been coming together and collaborating in amazing ways. Let's just turn that up a notch.
In the movie Wonka, he saw Noodle's potential clearly enough to help her rise up to her potential, and then together, they collaborated to create their freedom and even the freedom of their whole team. We get to do the same. We get to be liberators and freedom fighters. And I'm so grateful for this vehicle that we have to do just that.
So let's close your eyes again if you're ready to visualize. Use a little bit of that power. Visualize you being that Wonka, right? You being that one that believes. How does it feel to be a part, to be that multiplier leader, bringing out the best in your team? How does it feel to be a part of a team that's led by a multiplier? See it, feel it. See yourself doing these multiplier actions, thinking in these multiplier ways, and see the fruits of it coming to you. Deep breath in. Letting this reality, right? You decide this reality. Letting it go to all the cells of your body with your breath.
Go ahead and open up your favorite oil and anchor in this new belief. You have already worked on yourself in so many ways. You've been honing in on your strengths and changing your thinking to be more of that strengths-based thinking and seeing the good in those around you. I love this image because it starts with you always, just like we talked about being, and then our tightest circles, our most important stewardships of your spouse and your family, your loved ones, seeing the good in them, knowing their strengths and honoring their strengths. We charted out our family strengths. We have a few people in our family, so we needed a chart. And it helps us remember when we're tempted to diminish, we can see the good and take a highlighter around it so that we can draw on those strengths and get more and more of those strengths in our family, and then that ripples out to our team, right? So that we're doing that with our partners. We're catching them doing things right, taking that highlighter, anything that you see that they're doing good, you're highlighting it, and doing the same for other leaders on your team and your team overall, and you'll get more and more of what you want, more and more of that growth. The greatest good you can do for another is not just to share your riches, but to reveal to him his own. We get to be strengths detectives. This is the journey. This is the joy.
It really is joy, real joy, not the other joy.
Not the other joy Kurt talked about.
So, the beauty of choice is we get to choose to be multipliers, and we're still operating here on the planet, so we get to learn how to deal with diminishers, right? And here's just a few tips for you. Don't react to everything a diminisher does. I like to think about it as a 2-year-old, right? Parenting 101 is don't give them a bunch of attention when they're throwing a tantrum, right? That's when you're like, oh, I'm gonna look over here. I'm gonna ignore that's going down so that we don't get more of it. Limit your interactions if you need to. Keep those boundaries up. Sometimes you might even need to retreat and regroup, and you get grounded so you can go back in again. Let them know what's happening and learn to ignore and keep those things on the side, right? Even if they're bringing things up and having issues.
So who has been a multiplier for you? What about them has helped you the most to discover your brilliance on your doTERRA journey?
If you're planning on doing Silver Club or Diamond Club, this may be the most important time for you to shift right now into a multiplier role and be focused on showing up that way. Here are just a few questions for you to ask yourself as you go into this next season.
How can I cultivate more of a multiplier mindset? What can I do right now to be more of a multiplier? How can I create a culture of trust on my team? To delegate and to collaborate? How can I develop leaders? How can I recognize the potential leaders on my team and develop them? How can I identify and leverage the strengths of my leaders and encourage personal breakthrough?
The beautiful thing is, we don't have these answers for you. Those answers are within you. All of the answers for you and your team are within you. As the CEO of your business, you have that stewardship and you'll receive. You can be your highest self. You can attract the leaders you are meant to lead. They are waiting for you. And you can multiply the leaders you already have and those that will come so that you can multiply the good. If you're ready to be a multiplier, will you stand on your feet with me? Because we want to finish up with a little karaoke here in Nashville.
We ready to have a little fun? All right.
Join in a Wonka karaoke here with us. And I want to hear this. Show me with your voice how you're ready to be a multiplier. When you get uncomfortable, when you do something new and different, it creates new neural pathways. And here we go.
Come with me,
All right.
and you'll see.
Where?
In a world of pure imagination.
It's a ruined castle.
Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination.
Frankly,
I can't hear you.
Begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation.
Does defy explanation.
If you want to view paradise, simply look around.